It's Subverted Tropes, a podcast about movies, featuring your hosts Daniel Spencer and Kate Harlow. Welcome to another episode of Subverted Tropes. I'm Dan.
I'm Kate.
And here we are.
Here we are indeed. Sorry we missed a week. Things were a little bit crazy in our schedules, but I assure you we were having a really great time. We hope you were too.
Yeah, we had a great time. We went up to Richmond, Virginia for a fantastic improv festival.
Up from North Carolina. I don't know if we ever actually really explained where we are.
So. We're some North Carolinians. I'm a North Carolinian
You're
by
a North
birth.
Carolinian.
You're a North Carolinian by choice.
By transplant.
Fair. You're from...
Dan has a hard time with this.
You're from Buffalo.
I grew up in Buffalo. I was born on Long Island.
Right.
And then I wound up here. And now I'm setting up roots.
Yeah. So in Subverted Tropes, we like to talk about some movies. We like to do some research into the production and talk about that, and then talk about the tropes in the movies.
And sometimes we make some goofs along the way.
Sometimes. This one might have plenty of goofs in it.
I know you told me there was at least one thing that made you laugh quite a lot.
Yes, and I'm very excited to share it.
Okay. Well, let's get right into it. What are we doing today, honey?
So today we're going to be talking about the 1947 classic Miracle on 34th Street, because it's Candle Night's time.
It's Candle Night's time. This is one of my mom's very most favorites. And it used to be, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily a tradition, like, by choice as much, but like every year for Thanksgiving, I would get up and I would watch the Thanksgiving Day Parade with my mom, and then Miracle on 34th Street would come on right after, and she would kind of just leave it on while she was working on food preparation. That
sounds pretty great. I didn't really have a tradition with this movie. It's been years since I've seen it.
It has been years and years since I've seen it as well. But in fairness, I moved away from my mommy's house almost 7 years ago, so I haven't been there for Thanksgiving morning in quite some time.
That's fair. So let's set the scene. It's Christmas time, and writer Valentine Davies, which is just a great name, finds himself in a department store. Doing the last minute buying a gift for his wife.
No, you didn't think ahead, Valentine.
No, and he has a moment of clarity and realizes how commercialized Christmas has gotten.
Oh.
This is in the 40s.
My God, if he could see it now.
I know. But his thought was, what would Santa Claus think if he saw how commercialized Christmas had gotten?
I'm sure he would be warm-hearted about it.
Probably so. But he decided to write a story about it. Now, I think this was probably just an excuse because he couldn't think of something good for his wife. So he was like, you know what? I went to go buy something, and God, it's just so commercialized. I can't feed into that anymore.
No, I bet he probably still had to buy something.
I mean, yeah. But it's probably his
Honey,
excuse
I got
for
you this beautiful bathrobe. Have we talked about how commercialized I think this industry has become?
I ganked this perfume sampler. I really think you're going to love it. God, it's just buy things, buy things, buy things. That's what this holiday's turned into. So I stole this sampler. And some strips. You know, like they spray the perfume on like a little strip.
Yeah, but like if you're gonna gift somebody with the perfume, why do they need the strips?
I mean, because he clearly doesn't know what he's doing. That was the joke I was going for there.
Okay. I mean, if you're gonna steal something from the store, I feel like you could have at least stolen a real gift.
Yeah.
Like just one whole bottle of perfume.
I stole this shoe size measurer.
The way it shines reminds me of your eyes.
Yep. I just walked right out of there with this cash register. I mean, it's empty, but it's a nice looking cash register. You said you've been wanting a new wallet, so...
We can make it into a purse. I just need a length of chain.
So he wrote the story and got it in front of George Seaton, who wrote the screenplay He turned it alchemy-like into a screenplay. He also directed the movie.
Okay.
So he wrote the script about a man who thinks himself to be Santa and about the people who back him up, and titled it The Big Heart.
Oh, he can't have much sodium.
So they took it to 20th Century Fox and began working on the movie in 1946. They reached out to Maureen O'Hara to play the lead female role. And they said, you're on contract with us, so you're doing this movie. So we need you to come back to the States. Because she had gone to Ireland to visit her family, who she hadn't been allowed to see. She hadn't been allowed to travel due to World War II to Ireland for 7 years. So a few days into her trip back home, and she gets a message saying, come back, we need you for this movie.
Ooh.
She was not very pleased. She actually said in her biography, I was madder than a wet hen the whole flight back. How dare they force me back just to make a silly little movie about Santa Claus?
Sounds about right.
But then she got back and she read the script and she changed her tune a bit. She was like, okay, this movie's going to be great.
Good.
And it's going to be a lot of fun to work on this movie. They specifically needed her back so quickly because they had gotten the okay from Macy's to film during the actual Thanksgiving Day parade.
Oh, goodness.
As long as they didn't interrupt the parade for it.
Oh, goodness.
They're basically like, all right, we're going to have this parade going. Set up your cameras and film where you can, but we're not stopping. Which made it very...
That's a very commercialized way of operations. Yes, you can do this, but don't you dare get in the way of our profits.
Pretty much.
We don't get the message.
But because they had gotten that okay, they needed to get ready and shoot.
Mm-hmm. So wait, when Valentine, yep, when he was shopping for the holidays, what holiday was he shopping for?
It was probably the Christmas beforehand, and then he
Okay.
spent that time writing the story.
Okay, all right.
They got Edmund Gwenn, who we've talked about before on this podcast.
Played the Penguin in Tim Burton's Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what he did. Edmund Gwenn
was in Them.
Was in Them. Yes, he was the scientist. So
I remembered.
They got him to. I knew you would remember, but that was for our listeners. If you haven't heard the episode Them, go check it out. It's a good one. We hear Warner Color
Several times.
But anyway, back to this movie. Mm-hmm. They got Edmund Gwenn to agree to be Santa Claus in the movie. They actually got him to play Santa Claus that year in the Thanksgiving Day parade.
Oh.
And do all the roles that Santa Claus does, which is being on the float, but then also speaking at, the end of it. And Edmund Gwenn was so happy to do it. He was like, this is so exciting for me. And then
so sweet.
They had him be Santa in the store afterwards for a little bit, but obviously it couldn't do too much to interrupt the filming, but it was amazing, and Gwen was perfect for it because, and I'm about to open up a can of truth on this podcast. Are you ready?
I don't think that I am.
Edmund Gwenn is Santa Claus.
Okay.
The man is Kris Kringle.
Okay.
Santa is real, and it's Edmund Gwenn.
Okay.
I feel like you're expecting more out of me from that. I'm just stating. We'll get into some of the reasons later.
Can of truth? Okay.
But yes, I'm calling it right here, right now.
Okay.
Santa Claus is real, and it's Edmund Gwenn. Macy's also agreed to let them film in their 34th Street location.
I do know a piece of trivia about that.
Oh, yeah?
That when they remade the film several years later, Macy's refused to be involved because they said the original stood on its own and didn't need replication.
Which I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
The funny thing is, Macy's hadn't yet agreed to have their name be in the movie.
Ooh.
And that was actually a pretty risky thing that neither Macy's nor Gimbel's had given the okay to use their name. The agreement was that they would get to review the movie at the end of it and make sure that both companies were painted in a positive light. But with the amount of times that those two stores are mentioned throughout this movie, it would have required extensive rewrites and reshoots, and basically they would have had to make the movie entirely over again.
Oh, jeez.
But obviously they gave them the okay. But Macy's was like, we don't know if we'll let you use our name, but use our parade and our store. And they did, but for using their store, it was a little bit tricky because they couldn't shut down the store in the middle of the holidays to let them film. So they would film at night after 8 when Macy's closed. And this was so exciting for little Natalie Wood.
Aw.
She was 8, and she got to stay up late. It was very exciting for her. And she and Maureen O'Hara would walk around the store, look at the toys and the girls' dresses and shoes, and really developed a strong bond that I think shows a lot in the movie. Like, they've got such a great mother-daughter vibe.
Yeah.
And Maureen O'Hara actually talked about it in her biography again, that she's the mother to over 40 children in movies, but she has a special spot in her heart for Natalie Wood because of the amazing bonding that they did in this movie.
That's so sweet.
And the whole cast shared an amazing bond, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But this was just a very special, everybody loves each other production, which really makes me happy because there's so many this person wouldn't talk to this person like we got in Scanners.
Yeah.
We don't have that in this. It's just everybody's friendly, and I love it. The working title changed from The Big Heart to It's Only Human.
Santa's not, he's technically an elf.
Right. See, that's why that didn't.
That's a problem.
That's probably why it didn't stick.
Good.
The next jump was then to Miracle on 34th Street.
Nice.
Which was the right call. You want to go watch this movie?
Let's go watch this movie.
Let's go watch this movie. Oh, we're also enjoying some delicious mulled wine.
It's real warm. We might even make a fire in our fireplace.
We're probably going to make a fire in our fireplace.
We'll take pictures.
It's going to be super Christmassy up in here, y'all.
Yes.
And we're back.
That is such a delight.
It is just a delight.
So sweet. So sweet. Maybe not paced amazingly, but
It felt a lot longer than 90 minutes.
it did. But I mean, still super, super sweet.
Yeah, a very touching movie. So let's talk more about Edmund Gwynn, real life Santa Claus. Natalie Wood was honestly under the impression that that was the real Santa throughout the entire filming.
Oh.
It wasn't until the wrap party when she saw him like a normal person that she realized he wasn't actually Santa Claus.
Aw.
Because he's actually Santa Claus. Like when she tugs on his beard and he goes, whoop. He completely improvised that just to make Natalie giggle.
Mo.
Which is adorable.
That's so cute.
After filming at nights when they were in New York, when they were done filming and would be put to bed, John Payne, who played Fred Gailey, Maureen O'Hara, and Edmund Gwynn would just go walking down Fifth Avenue and window shop.
Aw.
And he would interact with the window dressers kind of the same way that
He does in that
he
first
does at the
scene.
beginning of the movie, but not correcting them, just interacting with them. And apparently the look on his face when he whenever they would come to a really nice window, O'Hara said that it was like the face of a child having like opened up a Christmas present on Christmas morning. Like
Aw.
he just had
That's
this
so sweet.
twinkly eye and was just so happy about it. It's just super sweet. Super duper sweet.
So sweet.
Maureen O'Hara also said she wouldn't be surprised if he was actually Santa Claus.
Of course.
That Dutch girl that we
Yes.
see. That interaction is actually Dutch.
Oh.
It's Dutch with a pretty heavy American accent, but it's Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
So the song that they sing translates to Santa Claus, little rascal. Put something in my little shoe. Put something in my little boot. Thank you, little Santa Claus.
Well, that makes sense because the Dutch tradition tends to prefer the tales of Saint Nicholas, who fills your shoes with candy if you leave them by the door on Saint Nicholas Day.
Exactly. Then he asks her what she wants for Christmas, and she says, nothing. I've already gotten my gift because I was adopted by my mother.
Oh,
And like she looks over to her mom, her newly adopted mom, and it's super, super sweet.
that's so incredibly sweet.
And like it's amazing that they didn't translate that at all. It's like here's this really touching moment that the Dutch get.
In regards to those scenes with Gwen as Santa, when oh gosh, I can't remember her name. When Natalie Wood's character, when he asks her what she wants from him for Christmas, she says nothing. My mommy will just buy me what I want. Years later, I did the exact same thing, and it was before I was old enough to like. I'm sure it was probably playing at least one Thanksgiving prior to this, but when I was like maybe 2 or so, my mom took me to a Santa Claus and asked if I wanted to sit on Santa's lap and tell him what I wanted for Christmas, and I said with all and complete sincerity, no, I just want my daddy to buy me toys.
Amazing. Daddy's girl then. Daddy's girl now.
It's true.
So, according to several newspapers, when this movie opened at the Roxy, Macy's closed its store for half a day to send its 12,000 employees
Oh,
to go see it.
that's so sweet.
Now, it wouldn't make sense to close your store for half a day during the Christmas rush.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't really enter into it because this movie was not.
It was released in July.
Well, okay, well, fuck. I mean, you're just going to steal my thunder or whatever. That's fine.
I'm sorry, baby.
It was actually released in June.
Okay.
So Daryl F. Zanuck was head of 20th Century Fox,
A heck of a name.
and he had done
Zanuck of the North. Woohoo!
Kate is so proud of herself for that.
I had a lot of mulled wine, guys.
He had done his research, and he was of the belief that people went to go see movies in warmer weather. So he wanted to release this movie in the summer.
What about all the people that go on holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas?
I don't know if movie theaters were open on
Is that
those
a-
days back then.
Oh, you mean the places shut down on those days so that
Yeah,
people
yeah,
could be with their fucking families?
Yes.
That's amazing.
She had a lot of mulled wine, you guys.
No, I also have a lot of feelings about
I know.
corporations that are open on those days.
So, yeah, it was released June 4th, 1947. And of course, it wouldn't make sense to release a Christmas movie on June 4th.
It's not a Christmas movie. It's a movie about morals, which you should have all year.
They marketed the movie without mentioning Christmas or Santa Claus at all. All of the marketing for this movie omitted the point of the movie.
That's amazing. So it's like literally the exact polar opposite of trailers nowadays that have the best points of the movie and basically explain the entire plot.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Come see Miracle on 34th Street, where an
There's-
old friendly man...
Goes down a street and then is put on trial.
Exactly.
America.
Why is this man on trial? I'll bet they used that scene where Natalie Wood was like, murder? And everyone was thinking, oh, it's a thrilling crime drama.
Everybody was very confused.
There's the scene where he hit the guy with the cane. Murder? Did this old man...
When his malicious intent comes out.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen like trailers for it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they exist out there, and I could probably spend like 30 seconds Googling it and find it, but I'm sleepy. But it's just so amazing to me that they marketed this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. That was the piece of information that
That
made
was
me
what you're so excited
lose
about?
it. Yeah.
That's great. Another fun fact about my family, the oldest of my two brothers was in a Gimbals commercial.
Nice.
Because as we mentioned earlier, I was born on Long Island, so my two older brothers obviously spent a little bit more time growing up on Long Island before we moved to Buffalo, and they were both models. They were both child models. Dennis's they both did magazine covers, but Dennis's big thing was the Gimbals commercial.
That is amazing.
I was too surly to model. I was not friendly to strangers.
No.
Actually, I wasn't really
I wasn't. Not.
Am not.
Still am
Probably
not.
will not be.
But seriously, whenever we do a podcast live show, come say hi to both of us. I'll be real friendly.
I'm friendly. I'm super friendly.
You are very friendly.
He's dragging me through the dirt.
I am. She's had a lot of mulled wine, guys. She's making faces. It's cute. This movie grossed $2.65 million, which equates to over $30 million in today's money.
Damn.
For a very low budget movie. It's pretty impressive. And that's all that I've got for production notes. So
What about tropes? What we got on tropes?
let's talk about tropes. Santa Claus is real. You best believe.
Psychologist is evil. Bad man.
I do like that they subverted the businessman is just after money trope of like they admit, I mean, it is partially that their new strategy will get them more money, but
they want to establish themselves as being the people that care.
Exactly.
And that's a very successful thing. I tend to stick with businesses that I know give a shit.
Me too. I just wish I could work for one.
I know. Well, that was something that I always tried to do in my last job, and it garnered me a lot of customers that liked me a lot and got me in a lot of trouble with my higher ups. And I regret nothing. I would rather take care of people, and I would be not upset if I found that those customers that were really, really happy with how I treated them weren't there anymore.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because it's one thing to put on like you really care. It's another thing to actually put your money where your mouth is.
True.
Precocious child. I don't even know that I need to add on to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's enough. This is almost Wes Anderson child level for Natalie Wood's character. Mm-hmm. I'm not into you, but now I'm into you. Thank you for doing a nice thing for me.
I'm into you, and I'm going to establish that relationship by becoming close with your spawn.
Creepy.
Super, super creepy. Don't do that.
Yeah, no.
Don't do that.
I didn't get what I wanted. I got what I wanted.
Hooray! The hiring and firing power in this company is very, very confusing.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. This is back in the day where if you wore a suit and a power tie, you could just walk up to someone and say, "You're fired."
Yep.
This janitor's got a heart of gold.
Oh, yeah. Janitor with a heart of gold. Character who appears crazy really is what they claim to be all the damn time.
Oh, judge makes decision based solely on political decisions, political reasons.
A final piece of evidence is delivered because government employees are trying to shirk job.
Yes. That is a great trope. I love how many times that shows up in movies.
And now that we've said it, we're going to notice it in everything.
Yep.
We're going to be watching Clueless, and it's just going to make sense.
Yeah. Government employees shirk their responsibilities. Well, I think that's going to be it for us for this episode. Thanks so much for joining and listening. As always, you can find us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. We're probably there. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, rate us. That is very helpful to us.
It is. You can interact with us on Twitter at Subverted Tropes. If you have any feedback or suggestions, or you just want to chat in a more private way without sliding into our DMs, you can send us an email at subvertedtropecast@gmail.com.
Oh, but slide into those DMs.
Or don't. Follow our blog at subvertedtropecast.wordpress.com.
Slide.
It's where we put up, we try to put up a post about, whatever fun stuff we've done with this episode. We also put our sources and stuff there. Yep. We have some great pictures of Ripley being a very good Yule cat, associate producer, who you haven't seen or heard very much in the past few episodes because her holiday collar is covered in bells and it is distracting in an audio fashion.
Yes, indeed. It would be too loud. You would hear pretty much nothing but
bells.
Bells, bells, bells.
Like we do all night. But we have some great pictures of her. We have a picture of the beautiful fire we made and our delicious mulled wine. Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Very good stuff. And as always, we want to thank Gracie Boland for our phenomenal logo. She is on Instagram as a fandom doodler and on Etsy at That Crazy Princess. She is fantastic and very skilled and has very reasonable prices. So
she does beautiful work and she has a lot of fun doing it, and you can tell. And that's one of the things that we love the most about anything that we love is when we can tell that people are having a good time.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, this has been a lot of fun, sweetheart.
Darling.
I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, let's go put out that fire and put up the rest of that mulled wine and get in bed.
That sounds good.
All right, everybody. Have a good one.
Have a good night.
Bye.